Rating books is like really hard. I wanted to talk about my personal book rating system and kind of break down for you my ideas of rating books and such like that today. I am Rachel over at Moonlight Library. If you're not subscribed to me, you should be. I love you already. Anywho, so let's talk about rating books. So let's jump into my actual star ratings, and then we'll talk about the actual pursuit and idea of rating books, when to rate a book, when you know what a book is rated, what changes a rating, things like that. So beginning with the actual star ratings from the top, a 5-star for me is a book that I will sit with forever, that will always come back to me, that I truly loved. It might not have to be a book that I read really fast or a book that I was completely engrossed in, but it's a book that has affected me on some sort of level, usually. I don't usually rate according to the merit of a book. Yes, everyone could love a book, or it could be a classic or something like that. I'm rating for me, which that's just my opinion of how I like to rate. Once again, subjective thing, book ratings. So if you rate based on merit, that's fine too. Maybe down below, you should say how you tier your ratings, like what you rate a 5, a 4, or whatever. So anyways, that's my 5 opinion. These are favorite books. And the thing is, I give a lot of 5 stars out. I be peppering them out like candy. And do you know why that is? Some people are like, okay, you can only have like 1 to 2 5-star books a year, or you can only, depending on how much you read, obviously, but you can only have like so many. These are like lifetime goals. Not to me. Not to me. I can love as many things as I want to love. And I feel like I choose books specifically because I think I'm going to like them because I think I'm going to love them. So I think it's okay that like half of my books sometimes in the year are like 5 stars, 4 stars, if not 5. Anyways, we're going to tier down to 4-star. A 4-star read for me is something that I loved. I did love it, but maybe it's not going to be an end all be all. Maybe there was something in it that just kind of like was like, maybe there wasn't enough secondary characters that had enough like actual character to them, or there's just a little something that I'm like, it just did not hit completely correctly. But it doesn't mean I didn't love it. Like if I'm obsessed with the plot, but the romance was a little lacking or something like that, I could see that I'd want something else personally. A 3-star is a book that I liked it. It was okay. I don't give them out all the time because I feel like 3 stars for a lot of people means you didn't like it and it's a horrible rating. It's really not. It's not supposed to be, at least to me. Especially like, I feel like a 3-star is something that I was like, I enjoyed the read, but I might not remember it, or it might just come right out of my head later, which is fine because you know what? I put a lot of content inside of this. So of course I'm going to have things that aren't going to sit with me forever. So a 2-star is a book I did not like it. I didn't like this book. This was not a good book. Not for me. I wasn't offended by the book. It was okay for someone else. I wouldn't tell people not to read it. I just say this was not a book that I liked, and it was not a book that I wish I read. But a 1-star book. A 1-star book means that I don't think anyone should read this book. It has offended me. I am mad. This is another book I will remember forever because I will sit with it forever and say, that was just disturbing, disgusting. Not that I don't like disturbing, disgusting books. It's something that bad views, not my views. I don't know. Like it's blatantly racist. It's blatantly homophobic. It's representation is just horrible. Something like that, where I'm just like, no one should read this. I mean, I don't believe in banning books, but I would not recommend anyone to read whatever this 1-star book might be. You know what I mean? I wish I could take it out of my memory. I wish it would just go away. Just boop. So that's a basic breakdown of how I rate my books and what each rating means to me. Let's go into how I rate my books. There's a lot of different things, a lot of different factors that come in to me rating a book. I will be reading a book and I don't like doing this, but I can't help it. It's like I already have an idea of what the rating is, but I don't want that to be a part of my experience of actually reading the book, is thinking about the rating of the book that I'm going to give it at the end of the book. Because in a way, it feels like I'm judging a book from the beginning, which yes, I should be judging it, but at the same time, I just want to experience the read instead of being like, 50 pages in, okay, this feels like a 4-star. This feels like a 4-star. I want to read the whole thing, because also the ending can completely change how I feel. I could all of a sudden be like, felt like a 3-star book, but that ending's so good that it's a 5-star book. Yeah. This is me. So anyways, when it comes down to it, what I usually try to do is not rate throughout, but I definitely do. So what do you do? Do you have a rating in your head throughout the book that kind of changes? Or do you wait until the end of the book to come up with the rating? Because I also have this thing where I'll finish a book and be like, okay, I'm going to rate it immediately. But then there's sometimes a certain book where I don't feel comfortable rating it immediately. I want to sit with it for a day or so and then I'll rate the book, because I'm like, I don't even know where I would put this. I need to really digest and think about what happened inside of that, whether I loved it, whether I liked it or loved it, whether I hated it or loved it. Some books you're like, I don't know. I walked away with from this being like, I could either really love this book or really hate it. Have you ever felt that way? That happens, right? That's normal. I think another thing for me is changing of ratings, which I've like been wanting to do a video on the idea of changing ratings. So I might do that. But here, a little thing is sometimes I do change a rating. Sometimes the book is a 5-star book right when you finish it. For me, it really does kind of come down to whether the book is still there with me, like a year later, 2 years later. If it's not sitting there with me, then I might change that rating and be like, you know what? Maybe it's a 4-star. Maybe it's a 4-star. Or there are some books where I have sat with it and I think about it constantly and it was sitting at a 4. And I'm like, why am I still thinking about this book? This book comes up in everything I think about, I talk about, not everything, but enough that it has to be bumped up. And I'll go change the rating. One year on my top 10 books, I had put a book at 4 stars and I'd read it towards the beginning of the year. And then at the end of the year, I ended up having it be one of my favorite books of the year because I couldn't stop thinking about it. I think there's like a bad representation on Goodreads of this idea of a 3-star book. Like someone rating something 3 stars means it's not good. And the idea that a lowly rated book or like lower than 4-star rated book can't be good. Whereas there's a lot of that like new horror, like kind of like gore, new weird horror that is rated really poorly, but I think it's because it's polarizing, and having to remember that it's important not only to look at the actual star rating, but to look at reviews of the books to see whether you would like them and who specifically is liking a book, because you can see that if you know you have similar interests to a certain person, that you might actually enjoy a book because they did. So I like to be following people on Goodreads that I know have similar taste to me, or maybe not so similar taste. And when I see a book I might be interested in, looking at those reviews and be like, okay, I know that this person, when they review a book really high, I'm going to love it. And it's nothing against what certain people review books or for or anything like that. It's more so I know that I align with them, because just because you rated a book a 2-star or something and I rated it a 4, there's nothing wrong with that. And there shouldn't be anything wrong with that, because we're all supposed to have our own opinions on how we enjoy books. There might be a book that has gone completely viral and I might hate it, which is totally fine. Like, I'm an individual that's allowed to like or dislike a book. I typically, though, honestly. I don't give out many low-rated scores, like low scores. It's not that common. I did just do a video on reading the lowest rated books on Goodreads that I had read and talking about my ratings of them, and a good amount of them were low scores, but not all of them. I don't know. I just don't think it's very common for me. Like, I think last year I must have had 2 or 3 one-star books out of over 100 books. It's not something I do. I have to like really dislike a book for it to be 2 or 1 star. It has to like really hit me somewhere, because I typically pick up books I'm gonna like. I typically do. That's okay. It's okay to like everything, because I'm that person. I just like everything. And those are my thoughts on rating systems. I don't know. I just had for a while wanted to talk about this and see what other people thought about their rating system and how they do it. And then maybe like at some point I'll do like examples of ratings and do like a changing ratings sort of thing. And maybe we'll make a little something out of this. This was mainly so I could tell you what each of my star ratings means, and then a little bit more on ratings. Let me know if you have any further questions for me on how I rate, what I rate. I mean, I rate books. What does that mean? When I rate, where I rate. I only rate books in my bed. That doesn't make sense. Okay, it's fine. Love you. Bye.